I'll be in New York tomorrow. I'm going to be at the Big Talkers Convention. That's an annual confab, and I'm going to be debating Tom Hartman. He's a nice guy.
Whoa,
he just
cool.
happens to be wrong on everything, so I'll set him
really
straight.
Good. Wow. First of all, the Talkers Convention, a guy named Michael Harrison runs Talkers Magazine, and they do a convention, and it's the attendees are folks who are the cream of the crop of the industry, like our buddy Mike, folks who have done pretty well in the industry, and they just want to come do a convention and probably sort of preen. And there's some folks who are kind of the up-and-comers and who are hoping to make some connections that might be that next big gig, and programmers are there. It's just a wonderful confab of our industry, and probably like our industry, the attendees are probably about 80% conservative, but I think it's wonderful that everybody is there. And people say, why doesn't talk radio have more balance? Talk radio doesn't need balance. Talk radio is balance. Our conservatism tries to balance the liberalism of Hollywood, academia, media culture, etc. But that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And Tom's a good guy. I mean, he and I have already exchanged some emails. They're calling it the Great Debate. Lee Harris, who's a veteran newsman from New York City, 10-10 wins. Give us 22 minutes. We'll give you the world. Yep. He's going to anchor and moderate it. So I'm looking forward to that. And then off to South Carolina next week for the primary.
Do me a favor. Look around that room. And I don't need to bog down on shop talk, but, you know, you've been going to those for a while. We've been doing this for a while. When you and I were up and coming, there were all kinds of folks who were in their 30s, early 40s, wanting to do this. And large media markets like where you are in Tampa, St. Petersburg, where I am in Dallas, Fort Worth, where you'll be in New York, you'd have 4 or 5. When I got back to my native Texas in 1994, there was us and there was Cliff and there were, you know, and by us it was BAP at the time. There were 10, 15, 20 guys in a really big market doing talk shows for a living, local. Yeah. And that's gone. The model is gone. Our industry is constricted. You and I are still here. We ain't going anywhere. But I guess all I'm really leading to is, please tell me there's some, you run into a 33-year-old guy working in Des Moines who wants to be you in a few years.
Well, my day is going to start on at Hofstra. The event is held on the campus of Hofstra University, and they've got a really vibrant college radio station. Yep. And so I did this last year, or 2 years ago, I guess it was, and I met all these college kids who define what you just described. They do want jobs in the business. They do want to be a talk show host someday. They do want to make it in broadcasting. And you're right, the landscape has changed. Yeah. I mean, the only difference for us is now we're heard in a whole bunch of different platforms in addition to terrestrial radio. But for me, my heart still lies with terrestrial radio. I'm a radio guy.
Of course.
For 40 plus years. And this is what I love. I love the intimacy of it. I love the connection that we have. And so it'll be fun. I want to go back to D-Day though you did such a beautiful job in setting the table for what we need to commemorate today. And you're right. I'm going to advise and recommend to my audience, now that everybody has access to movies on streaming, everybody ought to watch the first 15, 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. You're so right, Mark. Everybody should look at that and remember what those men went through, what they experienced, why we honor them. And sadly, you mentioned a few minutes ago, there are 150 left. Sadly, 149, because one of these heroes, Robert Pershitti of Fairport, New York, died on his way to France to celebrate the D-Day commemoration. 102 years old. He suffered a medical emergency and died in a hospital in Germany. So now 149, I guess. And, you know, I've been so riveted by seeing various journalists talk to the 99-year-olds and the 100-year-olds. And, you know, it's another year or two, 3 maybe, there won't be anyone left.
I've said this is the last big, or we do big anniversaries, years ending in 0. This is D-Day plus 40. Ain't none of these guys going to be around for D-Day plus 50.
Yeah, you threw me when you said that. I was going to text you from the car. You said 40th anniversary of D-Day. I said, what are you talking about? Where did you get 40 from?
I hope I didn't stumble because I went back.
No. I think
to Reagan, because Reagan. These are the boys of Pointe du Hoc. That was 40 years ago. That was halfway back. That was halfway back to D-Day itself.
So. And then I hate to inject politics into this, but I must. When you said, let's listen to President Joe Biden, I'm in the car driving over the Howard Franklin screaming, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Well, no, but didn't you regret it as soon as you played it?
Well, no, because I said, let's see how this goes.
Well, you heard what he said, right?
I did. And I wish I could go to an American president and know, like I know my own name, that his remarks would have not one glint of politics, not one shiv in the ribs of
This
Trump.
is Joe Biden you're talking about.
He's sitting there talking about Hitler. Listen, there are a million ways to refer to Hitler. When he talks about racial superiority, you know he's talking about the Republican Party of today. And when he talks about the victory that we enjoy, the keeping democracy alive. When Joe Biden says democracy, exactly, he's talking about Trump. That's right. He's talking about Trump.
Only Joe Biden would stand there and make it a campaign speech. And I will not play one word of him. Sorry, can't do it. Not going to do it.
So I'm glad you have that policy. I salute that policy.
Hey,
I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it in order to make the point. So there are a lot of ways to go.
Yeah, and that's the other argument about playing clips from CNN and MSNBC. Something else I've decided to make a policy change. No more. I saw this morning a whole list of Joy Reid clips and unhinged this. I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
Not doing it. There's no reason to come to work. I mean, we got a country to save. We've got of course the anniversary of D-Day. We've also got this supposedly big news that Trump has revealed his short list of vice presidential running mates. Now, normally this isn't a big deal, but I do believe it's a big deal this time around.
It's a really big deal because he's gonna be 80, and listen, he'll live to be 112 and outlive us all. But if nothing else, we know factually that he only serves one term. So this is a leg up on being the 2028 nominee for somebody. And, I'm skeptical. There is all the buzz about who's on Trump's list. I've always said those who know aren't talking and those who are talking don't know. But there apparently is a little bit of a trickle out of news that the Trump got ahead of myself, that the Trump campaign asks you for some vetting documents. They contact you and ask you for some stuff. And those apparently have gone out to J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Doug Burgum, Tim Scott,
Ben
Carson, Elise Stefanik, and Byron Donalds.
And Tom Cotton.
And it was I didn't hear Cotton yesterday.
Yep. Totten is the 8. There were 8 that got the official request for financial and other vetting documents. I mean, that list, I'll start. I like Tim Scott. Always felt that Tim Scott would be a good pick, and for the same reasons that he picked Mike Pence in the first place, because he doesn't upstage Trump in any way. He's a happy kind of conservative warrior guy.
Nobody upstages Trump. Well, there's somebody who would try, and I love her, and that's why it ain't going to be Carrie Lake. So anyway, but keep going.
Or Nikki Haley. It wouldn't be Nikki Haley.
No, it's not gonna happen.
But hey, Ron DeSantis might unintentionally. And that's the dream ticket.
Upstage? I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Isn't it interesting though, Mark? Think about this. So apparently DeSantis isn't even in the running. There's just not even. He's not interested. Trump's not interested.
Prepared to absorb that. Mm-hmm.
But doesn't that make it? This is very intriguing to me. Does that mean that DeSantis's ship has sailed? That he has missed the moment that in 2024, where he had the chance to join, and he's fundraising for Trump and he's supporting Trump. Absolutely. And he's all on board. Does that? But don't you think the bloom is off the rose a little bit now?
At the moment. For this moment, sure. But the only thing certain in life is change. Let's say DeSantis is nowhere in the mix to be vice president, and that means somebody else gets a leg up on the 2028 nomination. DeSantis is term limited out, so he can't be governor. All he's going to do for the next few years is be, along with Abbott, America's best governor, and that's not a small thing. And so the 2028 Republican nomination will be whoever Trump's running mate is, and probably, I don't know, DeSantis saying, hey, remember me? And millions of people will say, we sure do, sir. We sure do.
Well, we'll see. Time will tell, like you said. I've got a weird hunch. I don't think that his pick will be on from this list. That's a classic bait and switch. Trump. He surprises everybody.
The Vegas line, you got your Scott, your J.D. Vance, your whatever. Doug Burgum, for some reason, is real prominent on this list. And I love Doug Burgum, but please, North Dakota. But there should be a strong betting line for somebody we're not even talking about.
That's right. Somebody who comes out of the clear. I told you what Seb Gorka told me was going to be Lee Zeldin out of New York.
Why not?
They're opening up campaign offices now in places like New York, saying, Trump says, mark my words, we're going to take New York. By the way, final note on, and because this is such an important day, and some of our texters are so perfect. Here's a text from Dallas. Mike, I listen to you and Mark every single morning on my way to work. I'm listening to you right now talk about honoring the D-Day veterans, and I so appreciate it since my father just passed away this past Memorial Day. He was a Navy veteran from World War II. He would have been 98 on July 10th. Very fitting that he passed on Memorial Day, and we will be doing full honors as he will be interned at the Miramar National Cemetery mortuary. He wasn't able to go to D-Day to Normandy, but I believe his 4 years he spent in the Navy during World War II was on a carrier. I honor him. Thank you guys for what you do. You know, Mark, one of the things I'm trying to put together, you ready for this? I think I mentioned this to you last week.
World War II Museum in New Orleans?
I want to bring a group of listeners to the World War II Museum in New Orleans. I want to do a weekend in New Orleans with some of our audience. There's no museum like it, Mark. I mean, it's have you been there? And I forget, have you been?
No, I've not. There was kind of we had a corporate tie to that, and I think I had a chance to, but had a conflict. But I said I've made a commitment. I will absolutely get there at some point because it is something to be seen, apparently.
Oh, it's incredible. And I was sharing with you the story about how surviving World War II vets are telling their stories, and then through AI, people are going to be able to ask them forever, what was that like? What happened on Normandy? What happened on Omaha Beach? And they're going to, in their own words, tell the story. So anyway, stay tuned for that because we've got big plans for that. We got our cruise coming up. We got all kinds of travel, and you'll be gone on the beach with you and your bride, you know, eating, drinking Mai Tais, and
I haven't said where I'm going.
Not caring about what the world.
I'm going anywhere. I will have a story when I come back. But
all right, you always do.
I always
all right.
do.
Happy Thursday, my friend. We'll see you when you get back. Have a great
Absolutely.
vacation.
And God bless you, Mike. And I know you're going to be part of this broadcast day that keeps everybody's toes tapping topically. And we look forward to the Mike Gallagher Show every day today at 10 on 660 AM. The Answer.